Hello there. For week 2, uh, class 3, we saw in Blender two ways of using the Compositing tab for post-processing. So the first way we learned is by using the layout we used the last time we used Blender last week, and then render it, and then in compositing use that scene, complete scene with everything in it, and add some nodes by using nodes. Simply by clicking use nodes, you can use nodes and then add effects to your render. So you can, well, when you click on use nodes, you have a render layer that appear and a composite. You can get I have also a viewer to make the render scene in the background with the composite effect, and between you can have different nodes to have different effects like color balance, and then brightness, and then here I add a blur effect, and you can see here on the blur effect that we learned to use keys, and it make it possible to create some video effects, special effects. Like you can see that we can see it's processing very slowly, but you can see that you can have over time some blur effect that will become less and less blurred to become clear at the third keys. Simply, however, blur may not that tool may not be very good to use in 360 since it can some lines could appear in the render once you look at it in 360. So you need to be careful or find a way to make it work without adding the lines, or you can always remove the lines with Photoshop after by patching them. And the second way we saw compositing in Blender for post-processing is using a render layer of layout with a reference object and adding a movie clip to it instead of having it all in the layout itself. So you can render in the compositing, you can add the video afterwards in post-processing. For that you will need a mix node, and you will have to make the scene, the background of the scene transparent, and adding the alpha of the scene in the factor setting of the mix node to make it possible to see the cube in the scene, as you can see it in the render here. So you can also, if you go here in animation, now you don't see anything. There you can see only the cube, but I added in the shading here, in the world shading, I added the video to make it appear. Oh, why? Okay, let's see that here. Now it's transparent, but if I add it, you can see that it appears as a background, kind of a skybox. And then I added a little texture coordinate to make it using the camera to make the video the same as in the rendering by using the same camera. So if you see that before it was like that, and then adding the camera became like this. And then in the animation tab, we can easily, by selecting the cube in the plane, now move it into our image to put it anywhere we want. So that's it for the first part of the course. I think that's all. Yeah, well, you also need, for the cube, to make sure that the scene is in 360 for it to work. So you have to make sure that you're in cycle, and then that the resolution is 3840 by 1920, and then in the camera you have to make it panoramic and use a equirectangular panorama type. I guess that's it for the first part. See you in the next one. Bye bye.